What's up guys, Kplayshere. Just like I've been waiting for, we finally got a full reveal of the mysterious Black Flame yesterday. And that fiery octopus is everything I expected and even more. Spoiler warnings from here on out because I'm going to go into full detail, but honestly, now that we're officially 30 days away from release, if you're not already on a total media blackout, you're going to be fighting a losing battle trying to avoid new info. If you're here and deciding to stick around for the rest of the video, I'll assume that you're here for the hype though, and that everything's fair game to talk about. So diving right in, we've got a name drop. No more need to use that edgy Black Flame title. We can now address our fiery octopus by its actual title, New Udra. I'm loving the naming and theming pattern across all the apexes so far. New Udra joins Raydal and Uthduna in its split naming scheme that sounds like it's from some foreign, almost sci-fi language. It also fully embodies its element of choice. First we had a lightning channeling living railgun of a flying wyvern, then a leviathan that cloaks itself in a watery veil and swims around with surprising grace for its bulk. And now here's an octopus that trades ink for oil and uses said oil to set itself ablaze. Going by this trend, I'm guessing / hoping that this means that we'll be seeing 2 more apexes that uniquely channel ice and dragon element in some way, but we'll save the speculation for later. Right now, we've got an already revealed new creature to talk about. I really have to give Capcom their props on this one. Reading through the interview that came along with the gameplay we got, New Udra is the realization of something that they've wanted to add all the way back in Monster Hunter Tri, but couldn't due to technological restraints. And speaking of which, I don't want to hear any more of this, oh we wanted to add it but we couldn't make it work, now that we've seen this. It's probably already a given with the other Leviathan skeletons we've seen working just fine so far, but there's no way we can't get laggy Acris now. And who knows what Pandora's box of wacky designs they've opened up for the future. That aside though, now that we've got the tools to make their octopus proper work, man did they ever make it work. We've gotten the tentacled terrors before with the likes of Yanamusukami and Nikarkos, but both of those were more like big stationary bodies with tentacles attached as moving parts on the mechanical fight level. That's nothing against their designs of course, in fact I'd love to see both make a return someday, but being hyper-evolved cephalopod shaped dragons on the lore side and not quite there yet on the tech side held them back from really giving us a true cephalopod monster feel. New Udra pulls out all the stops there, so much so that unlike the other two it's actually going to be in its own brand new monster category. We don't know if it'll officially be called the cephalopod family just yet, but it's been confirmed to not just be an elder dragon due to not fitting anywhere else. You can trap it for one, and both the games and the devs refer to it as a cephalopod. Back to the topic of what that entails though, well, just look at this thing. Its body and all of its animations have a totally unique, boneless feel that we've never seen before in Monster Hunter. It moves like an amorphous blob, flowing in any direction at once without even having to turn around. It can squeeze its gigantic body into tiny little crevices as long as its beak can fit, and contorts itself into a little hole in the wall to rest when it's low on health. If you're mounting, it can reach up and try to snatch you with its tentacles. No joints, no problem. It doesn't have to turn around if you're not directly in front of it, because it can reach out to strike anywhere around it with its tentacles. Shoot, even its roar sounds like it comes from something boneless. Don't know how you managed to make a roar sound boneless exactly, but they sure managed to pull it off here. Being a fully land-dwelling monster unlike its real-world counterpart though, New Udra does have some adaptations for its unorthodox environment. Those tentacles are covered in nasty spikes for traction as it moves around instead of the usual suckers you would expect. Or maybe it has both? I don't know. I was a little bit too busy marveling at the demonic hell squid to pick apart the finer details of its anatomy. I'll save that for when I get to take it on with a handy dandy Echo Wave slicing hunting horn in a month. Why slicing specifically though? Well, because as it turns out, and this is amazing, you can cut off the tips of all of New Udra's tentacles. That makes this guy the monster with the most removable body parts I can think of off the top of my head, at 6. Or 8 if you can snag the 2 smaller face tentacles too. And as a nice extra touch for flavor, the severed tentacles even continue to wriggle around like a real octopus would after you cut them off. Couple this with the way that the sensory organs on the tips will light up to signal what New Udra will attack next, and there's some pretty cool attention to detail in these feelers. I could totally see group hunt strategies where, after rolling down those explosive rocks into its starting area, everyone picks a tentacle to work on severing to maximize their rewards and to shorten New Udra's attacking range. We definitely could use some less straightforward, more out-of-the-box fights like that. Not necessarily from other cephalopods, but... well, actually no. Scratch that, because I'd be sorely disappointed if New Udra gets done like Najarala, pre-5th gen Zinogre, or the other monster families with little to no other representation outside of their 1st or 2nd editions. Cephalopod monsters? Those are way too cool of a concept now that they can pull it off to not give us at least a couple different flavors. Nothing crazy, of course, otherwise it gets less unique the more there are, but one, maybe two more would do just fine, I think. It'd be great to see more directions that they could take with this idea. My vote will go to something like, maybe a mimic octopus that masters camouflage so well that it can roughly copy other monster skeletons and attacks, or maybe something that can use blinding clouds of ink outside the water. The latter in particular is something we'll miss out on with the original plan of having an octopus be an underwater combat monster no longer on the table, but personally, I hated water combat, so that's fine in my book. The people in charge of monster design have clearly shown that they've got creativity by the truckload, so I'm sure they could pull something off. Again though, back to New Udra. Sorry, the pure hype this guy has me on is making it hard to stay on topic. As a perfect example of the design creativity I just mentioned, we have to talk about its moveset here. I was actually pretty surprised to see that its base form doesn't really use much of the flames that its ode title suggests. Until it enrages, we mostly see multiple different tentacle swipes and bites with its little octopus beak. This thing is so large that the tentacles alone give it plenty of reach, but I was expecting to see at least a few fiery ranged attacks here and there. And then New Udra lights its entire body on fire, and I'm just like, oh, okay, there it is, never mind, I'll save all questions to the end. Rage mode turns the spectacle and danger of this fight up a notch, because not only is this giant octopus you're fighting actively burning, it's also hurling globs of burning oil it's covered in at you. There's also the two moves where it uses its siphon like a flamethrower, including that brutal grab we saw at the end of its reveal trailer. Really wish we could see the damage this will deal with rank appropriate armor, since I assume that the players in the showcase videos were given beefed up sets so they could show off the monsters without worrying about dying. But honestly, even with the help, New Udra was definitely taking more noticeable chunks out of hunters than we saw in the Rompopolo and Ajaricon videos. And as a side note on Ajaricon, it's hilarious that he's so down to throw hands with literally anything and everything that moves that he actively targets New Udra multiple times in these gameplay videos. But jeez dude, pick your battles. There must be something with monkeys in Monster Hunter where they're just ready to go for anything, but sometimes you gotta find your chill and realize that the apex is gonna take you out. Can't wait to see the black flame so big that it can manhandle an Ajaricon in each tentacle, but we'll get there when we get there, and luckily we're getting there very soon now. Even more fortunately though, the second run of the beta crept right up on us. I actually wasn't looking at the calendar, I'm like, oh, wait, that's next week. It won't be a chance to access the Oilwell Basin like the lucky reviewers at IGN will be able to do this month, but the next 2 weekends after this week should be some fun ones. I've got my fingers crossed that we also get at least maybe one more trailer before release day 2, even though we probably don't have the time frame quite as long as the ones for the Scarlet Forest and Oilwell Basin for another full map reveal. Pretty much everything is on the table now though, and I'm bursting at the seams with excitement for it. If you've gotten this far in the video, answer this question for me down below. Can you cook an octopus that sets itself on fire already? And if you can, would you try some? I don't know, New Udra takoyaki sounds kinda out there, but it could be surprisingly tasty. But until next time though, this has been another Kplays and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.